Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Today I want to bring you guys an artifact video where perhaps I can forward your understanding of the game. There's been some pretty cool tournaments that have been broadcast lately, so some people are actually starting to tune in. Shortly enough, I'll be playing Artifact. I'll actually be able to show you content while I'm playing the game, but right now there is an NDA on doing that. However, most or maybe even all of the cards have been released. They're on different websites. So today what I can do to forward your knowledge of the game is give you my list of the best heroes in Artifact. And through this video, you should have immediately a good understanding of what it takes to build a deck. Now, there's a few different factors at play before we get into the actual heroes. First is, Artifact will be an intimidating game to learn. You might see this video, you might see other videos, you might feel overwhelmed at the amount of information that you're seeing before you. Take your time, be patient. It is by nature a very complex game, so don't worry about it. If you want, you can just watch this video an extra time, or like 5 extra times. I would love it if you did. Now, back to the matter at hand. Heroes are the core of every deck in Artifact, but my list today will kind of put the heroes in a bit of a vacuum. So even though I feel these are generally the best heroes, it doesn't mean the other heroes cannot be the best ones in the given deck that you're trying to make. This also considers generally constructed play from Artifact. So if you're playing the arena mode, the gauntlet mode, you really have to play very differently. And you have to be a lot more opportunistic about the heroes that are presented before you because you can't exactly get the heroes that you want every time. So with that in mind, we can get started here. The main thing when considering if a hero has good stats or not is if it can kill melee creep. Melee creep is like the minions, the creatures that creep, that spawns automatically in the different lanes in Artifact. So these are just things that throughout the game you're going to have to deal with, and particularly at the start of the game when your heroes have no modifications, they don't have any weapons on, you don't have enough mana to actually cast spells. It is a large advantage for your heroes to be able to not just beat this stat line. They need to destroy this stat line. So any hero with 2 armor is essentially never going to take damage from the baseline of creep. So armor is very good. Any hero that can do 4 damage or more will one-shot the base creeps. So if you do 4 damage or more, it's a very good thing for a hero. So those are the main considerations. The other consideration is that heroes, they bring into battle a card with them in your deck. So let's take a look at the first hero I'm going to mention. We're going to fast forward a little bit. My favorite hero, certainly one of the best red heroes, is Axe. So we can see Axe here real quick. Axe is a very heavy hero. He has 7 attack, easily killing any melee creep. He has 2 armor, so he's never going to take damage from melee creep unless they get buffed or something like that. And he has lots of health if there is, some pesky spells or some kind of buffs headed his way. If you put Axe in your deck, you automatically must include 3 copies of his signature card. His signature card is Berserker's Call. Berserker's Call is a 6 cost. Keep in mind, though, on the first turn in Artifact, you have 3 mana. So turn 1, 3, turn 2, 4, turn 3, 5, turn 4 is when you can play Berserker's Call. So it's kind of like a 4-drop, as you may. So it's not that late in the game, and you choose an allied red hero and it battles the enemy neighbors. So the 3 things immediately in front and immediately adjacent. It just battles all 3. It's like a triple duel, considering that red heroes are generally very strong and have armor. So the 2 armor will absorb 2 damage from each of the 3 things that he's attacking. It's actually a very good hero card. But with this in mind, we have to understand that even though a hero card might be very good, the hero signature spell that you must use in your deck when you include that hero might not be so good. So overall, the hero might be average. Or the opposite might be the case. You might have a very poorly statted hero with an extremely powerful signature spell. And in that case, again, that hero might actually be a lot better than it looks. So it is kind of like weighing in two cards, and that's how I will evaluate these heroes, with some small bonus points for synergy with the given class. Another aspect I want to talk about is general deck building in Artifact. So if you have a card in your hand, all the cards are going to have colors except for items and stuff. So you need to match the color of the spell that you want to use with a lane that actually has a hero of that color. If you have, let's say, a red hero in a lane and no other heroes of that lane, but in your hand you have cards of all four colors, you can only play the red cards that you have enough mana for. So what typically happens throughout gameplay is when you have a deck that is spread too thin across too many colors, your opponent will target down the same heroes to try to lock you from playing a large amount of your hand. I'll give you guys an example. So if you are playing, let's say, an innocent enough two-color deck, which is what I recommend you start with. Let's say you're playing red and blue heroes, which essentially means you can play red and blue spells. If you have 4 red heroes and 1 blue hero, if your opponent instantly kills or attempts to kill your blue hero the instant it gets on the board every time, you'll find yourself unable to actually play the blue part of your deck. That's why it's important to have at least a couple of heroes of each color, at least. And that's also why it's important to have some kind of strong heroes that can have some presence on the board. And that's why it's very difficult to run a deck with more than 2 colors, because your opponent will typically single target the heroes that you don't have very many of. Now, another thing to consider is that the different colors in Artifact have very different properties. Red heroes are not by design supposed to be balanced against blue heroes. Red has by far the best heroes. The red thing in general in Artifact is really good heroes and modify your heroes. Modifications are permanent buffs. So if your heroes die, when they come back 2 turns later, they will still have those buffs that you cast on them before they died the last time. Those are modifiers. Okay? So red is big heroes, modifiers, kill stuff lightly. Blue is super crappy heroes, by far the best late game and mid game spells in the game. But again, because you can only play a spell if you have a corresponding hero in the same lane that you want to use that spell in, even though you have the best spells, it's typically very difficult to keep your heroes alive. Black focuses on single target removal. Black is exceptional at removing other heroes from the board, and black has very good heroes, but not quite as good as red, as I don't believe any of them, in fact, have any armor. So they're very strong on like a one-on-one, death match, but they're not very good on sustaining round after round against many waves of creep. Green focuses mostly on supportive cards, healing up the board, buffing up how much mana you have, kind of like a ramp. Green heroes are health stacked. Green heroes overall have the most health, but their attack is very low. With item modifiers, green heroes can actually become extremely strong, but green, I think, struggles to play as a standalone color. You can play monocolor, I think, of all the other 3 colors, but green is typically there to support a more refined strategy that is often brought to by the other 3 colors. With that in mind, you have 5 heroes in the deck, and you open when a game starts, you get to choose which 3 heroes open up in your different lanes. So it's very important when you're coming up with like a 2-color deck to have, perhaps, like if you're playing red and blue, the best heroes coupled with the worst heroes, perhaps you want to have most or maybe even all red heroes deploy in the first turn so you don't instantly lose lanes. Now, there are always exceptions in Artifact. I've played mono blue decks with exclusively garbage heroes, and I've actually won a decent number of those games. So Even if you think it might not work, Artifact is new enough and experimental enough that you can certainly try to make it work yourself. Good. I think we got all the bases. Let's talk about the best heroes in the game. I chose 4 heroes from each color that I think are overall the best ones. But again, this doesn't fit every scenario, and it certainly doesn't reflect what happens in Gauntlet, the arena mode. For red heroes, and there's a lot of competition for red heroes because high power level heroes is the definitive trait of playing red in Artifact. Axe is my favorite. Axe is a 5-star hero in terms of stats. He is about as good as it gets, and his hero card, I would say, is like a 4-star hero card. It is removal, but you need to have the bigger heroes, but you're playing red, so you usually do have the bigger heroes. And that just makes Axe overall an extremely strong hero. Another hero I think about as good as Axe is Legion Commander. Legion Commander is one of the highest rated heroes in the game by most of the people who play Artifact. Legion Commander has 6 attack, 1 armor, 8 health. Not the best stats. It has a little bit of retaliate, so whenever it gets attacked, it deals some damage back to the attacker. That's not really a big deal either. What is a big deal is the signature card for the Legion Commander. It's a 2-cost card that's very strong. You choose an allied red hero and any other unit and they battle each other. So it's a 2-cost, typically works as hard removal. Because you start the game with 3 mana in each of your lanes, any card that is good and costs less than 3 mana is like exceptional. So this card is a good card, but most cards below 3 mana are terrible. And because you need low-cost cards to actually play things when a game of Artifact begins, while the hero, I would still rate a 5-star in terms of stats, the hero card for Legion Commander is like a 5+. Okay, it's like insane. Duel is amazing. And I also want to add to the list Bristleback. Bristleback is another very good hero. Most people don't hold Bristleback in that high regard. While he has the highest overall stats, 8 attack and 12 health, and whenever he kills a hero, through attacking that is, he gets permanent 2 armor, modified by 2 more armor. So the hero card is certainly a 5 stars, but his signature spell is more of like a 1 to 2 star card. His signature spell is really crappy, but you can still typically find some use out of it. The reason why I think Bristleback is a notably powerful red hero is because he synergizes very well with the other really powerful red heroes, and he is very much in line with what red does. You play big heroes and you snowball them out of control. Bristleback is the ultimate new player hero because if you're playing against an experienced player and you win the dice roll of the deployment phase in the first round and he one-shots an enemy hero and gets the armor modifier, things snowball so hard from that point. Bristleback becomes just completely unstoppable right away to a point where your opponent will often just concede the lane that Bristleback is in. The final red hero I want to highlight is Tidehunter. Tidehunter is one of the most unusual heroes in the game in terms of stat lines. It has 2 attack, 1 armor, but red has a lot of modifiers to buff these stats, so it's not as bad as it might look. But he's got 18 health, which is insane. His signature card is a good card, but once again, it's a good card that costs less than 3 mana, so we are reaching exceptional territory. Tidehunter, I would say, is a 4-star hero card, and I would say maybe like a 4.5-star signature card that goes alongside him, but it's really the ability to stun everything in front of him and 50% chance everything else on the lane. This is an ability that you can use every few turns, and stun is kind of like the ultimate in Artifact. Stun makes it so if you stun a hero, your opponent cannot play cards through that hero. So if your opponent has only 1 hero in that lane, and he would normally be able to play cards from his hand because they match the color of that hero, if that hero is stunned, your opponent can no longer do that. That's super important. Not only that, when something is stunned, it does not attack back. So Tidehunter and whoever else beside him, they just do free damage essentially. Because of the mechanic of heroes coming back after they die 2 turns later, the ability to stun a hero and just basically remove it for that turn is often about as good, sometimes even better than actually killing the hero. Stun is really the ultimate ability, okay? So he gets stuns every few turns just through his activated ability. So Tidehunter, very nice. Blue heroes, please consider that blue heroes typically have the worst stats by far, and as a result, I would probably rate the best blue hero the one exception to that, Kana. Kana is a very high health blue hero. It is actually one of, if not the only blue hero that doesn't get one-shotted by most of the red heroes, before modifications, of course. Her hero card summons a Hound of War for every damaged unit, so you basically get to like super swarm if you're already swarming, and her passive ability that only drops creep into her lane from the other lanes is deceptively good. Kana is a 5-star hero with at least a 4-star signature card. The reason why spawning all the melee creep in her lane and not sharing it with the other lanes is good is because the nature of blue in Artifact is to play a hell of a lot of board clears. So what typically happens is you just go really ham in her lane with playing dudes, and you use your board clears well in the other lanes. It just naturally works by playing with what's available. Ogre Magi is another top card for me. I would say the hero card is 5-star and the signature card is on the 3-star level. Ignite can be very good, but the stats on Ogre Magi for a blue hero are acceptably high. What makes Ogre Magi really powerful is his passive ability. 25% chance when you use a blue spell, you get a copy of that back to your hand. This makes infinite combos, card draw, a lot of the things that makes blue what it is, a lot stronger. And that's exactly why you use Ogre Magi. He just synergizes with what blue does exceptionally well. Another one on my top 4 list here, I have Luna. Luna is considered by some one of the best heroes in the whole game. She again has exceptional stats for blue heroes. 8 health is a lot. It actually survives the carnage of some of the red heroes. And her signature spell is Eclipse, which does 3 piercing damage and recasts itself for basically every turn that Luna was in play. So it's a late game extreme removal card. And again, that is what blue does. Even though she has 3 damage, when combat starts, she pings something for 1. So often enough, it will work out and she will be able to manage creep. And again, that is not something that blue heroes typically do. So it is quite a big deal for her. The 4th and final blue hero that I think makes the top list is Zeus. Zeus, again, is a pretty well-statted blue hero at 3 and 7. His passive is when you play a blue spell, he does piercing damage to the guy in front of him and the 2 immediately adjacent. So even though he does 3 damage, if you're playing a blue spell in his lane every turn, he essentially has 4 attack, which meets that threshold of dealing with melee creep, which is very good. And his signature card, Thunder God's Wrath, is also very strong. It's just going to do a lot of work a lot of the time. Piercing damage in all lanes is deceptively powerful, because if you have Zeus in perhaps the first lane, you can hit your opponent's heroes in lane 2 and 3, and if you kill them, you might actually effectively skip your opponent's chance to play cards. Because if your opponent has a weak hero in lane 2 and you kill it with Thunder God's Wrath, he might no longer have any heroes in lane 2, again, effectively denying your opponent's mana that round on that tower, which is a very powerful effect. Zeus is, for a blue hero, it's like, it's like a 4-star stats. really, if you compare it against all other heroes, he's kind of like a 1-star in terms of the hero stats, but you can't really do that because all blue heroes are terrible. And his signature card is at the very least a 4-star card. For black heroes, again, black heroes are typically excelling at killing other heroes. Bounty Hunter makes my list 7-7, but he gets randomly higher attack. 50% of the time he's going to be an 11 attack hero, which is a hell of a lot, by the way. For black, at the very least, 4 stars on the hero stats. And his signature card is Track, which gives a hero plus 10 bounty. So the gold mechanic in Artifact, when you kill a hero, you get 5 gold. If you play Track, you make it 15 gold until that hero dies. Because black has cards like, the ones that for 3 double your gold, a lot of gold decks end up being made from black. And he synergizes extremely well with that. Track is at the very least a 4-star signature card, which makes Bounty Hunter extremely good for that play style. Phantom Assassin is another one of my favorites. Phantom Assassin is a 6/8, so extremely high stats, but she does 4 extra to all heroes when she's attacking them. So her stats are actually easily 5 stars as a hero, and her hero card, Coup de Grace, is very good. If it didn't have the random discard mechanic, it would be a 5-star, but I'd probably go 4, maybe 4.5 star on this card. It is very good, but you can only use it on the lane that she's in, so you can't use Coup de Grace to deny plays. Like if you have her in lane 1, you can't Coup de Grace your opponent's hero in lane 2, for example. And there's a lot of black cards that do allow you to do that, which again makes it not exactly in my mind a 5-star signature spell, but it's still very good. It's one of the only ways you're going to get rid of those extremely juiced up red heroes. Next up, we got Sniper. So Sniper is a pretty good hero card. 5/6 is rather low, but every 3 turns he can deal 5 damage direct. So I don't know, let's call it 4 stars on the hero card. But his signature card, Assassinate, is notably insane. It's a 7 cost, which is rather high, but it does 10 piercing damage to any unit in any lane. This is the money right here, okay? That signature card is mind-blowing. What you typically do is you have Sniper in lane 1 or lane 2, and you assassinate a hero in one of the next lanes, thus denying your opponent's ability to play cards and use mana of that future lane. The ability to do that is just so powerful in Artifact. Assassinate is easily 5 stars, boys. And lastly, for the black heroes, I have to give a shout out for Necrophos. I would think the other 3 black heroes are actually notably stronger than Necrophos, but still, someone's got to come forth, and I think it's him. Necrophos stats 5/6, rather weak. It's kind of like 3 stars in terms of black heroes, but he has a very strong passive where his health goes up permanently. It's a modify effect by 1 when an adjacent neighbor dies. So you're looking at anything in front of him or anything immediately to the sides. If any of that dies, it can be a creep, it can be a hero. He gets 1 health permanently. And black plays a lot of kill cards, so actually he can get very beefy. His signature card, Heartstopper Aura, is very good. You modify a black hero, would deal 2 piercing damage to the front and the sides before the action phase. So this allows you to actually deny your opponent playing cards. It actually fuels his passive to gain health constantly. So it's kind of like a win more card, and color black often enough plays very all-in at the start of the game. So again, it works quite well with the theme. Heartstopper Aura, I would say at the very least a 4-star card there. For green heroes, personally, I like the green heroes that have a lot of sustain, a lot of buffs, and a lot of stats. Green, I feel, is largely a support color. One of the most famous green heroes is Drow Ranger. 4/7 doesn't go very far, but the passive to buff every other card on your side by 1 attack while Drow Ranger is in play is crazy. This is a 5-star hero card without any doubt, and Gust is quite strong. Silencing enemy heroes this round basically stops your opponent from playing cards that turn. For 4 mana, that can be very good, especially because green is a support color. If you're playing like green-blue and you're hoping to like combo your opponent on the next turn, this will often just give you that next turn. It's a very good hero card. I would say the signature spell is at least 4 stars. Enchantress makes my list for top 4. I learned the power of this card through watching some of the tournaments lately. 4/8, pretty strong stats, but her ability to naturally regenerate constantly and her allies on her side. It's like healing every turn, healing. She just snowballs really hard, and her signature card to give 1 armor to all allies, but this can be played in a different lane. So you can use this if another lane is struggling, or you can use it in her lane, which makes her heal even more powerful. She's kind of a hero that gradually snowballs the lane that you play her in, and that goes very well with green being the support color. Enchantress gets at the very least 4.5 stars for a hero card, and at least 4 stars for the signature card. Next up, I have Omni Knight. I haven't seen too many other people play Omni Knight, but I've played it, and I love Omni Knight. Omni Knight has extremely high stats. This is a green hero after all, but 5 is enough to hold his own in terms of attack. He has 5/12, and every few turns he can heal something on his lane for 3, which is actually pretty good. It will usually save a card and allow you to snowball even further. And his signature card, modify a green hero with allies have +2 regeneration. Once again, we know how powerful that can be from Enchantress. It typically ends up in whoever this is cast on able to snowball their lane and kind of accumulate a powerful but fairly gradual advantage. Another card I want to highlight is Trent Protector. Trent Protector is a 4/10, and he gives armor to his allies. So Trent Protector alone might be a little bit weak, but giving armor to your allies is often very important. I feel it's like a 4-star hero, and I think the Roseleaf Druid, 2/6 for 4, giving some kind of ramp. It's kind of like maybe a 3.5, maybe a 4-star signature card. Not very high ratings, but Trent Protector excels in supporting your other color. It's a very powerful card. It's very common to use green with blue. Green to kind of just sustain, keep you in the game, while with blue you just need to get to a certain amount of mana to win the game. They just work very well together, and Trent Protector is exceptional in that synergy. So that's it, guys. Those are the best heroes in Artifact, according to Crip at least. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something, and I'll see you guys in the next one.